Hi, I'm Ryan.
I'm Rebecca.
And this is the very first review for the Ludicrum. And we are going to be reviewing a number of games and doing gameplay videos and all the fun stuff that you see other people out there doing, hopefully with our own twist. But anyway, so today we're going to be talking about Pandemic: The Cure. It's a cooperative dice game by Matt Leacock and Z-Man games. Of course, it's impossible to discuss this game without also mentioning that it is sort of a spiritual successor or another take on the pandemic phenomenon, really.
Yes.
I mean, it really is a very popular and well-known game for being a gamer's game. You'll find it in every store, and lots of people have played Pandemic, so we're not going to spend really any time talking about that, except to mention that they're basically identical games in theme to the original stock version of Pandemic.
Yes.
Except in this case, you're rolling dice instead of drawing cards and moving pieces around a board. You're just moving dice around a smallish setup.
Yes.
So how would you describe this game if you had to describe briefly how this game works?
I would essentially describe it as you're part of a team, so all the players are playing together as a cooperative game, and you have different roles as medical professionals. They're kind of assigned before you start the game, so you can be a medic, a dispatcher, a scientist, and so on and so forth. And each character has different capabilities. And what you do is you travel around the world fighting 4 different diseases, which are unnamed, they're just different colors. The red, yellow, blue, and black diseases, which in this case are represented by dice. So you travel around and try to keep outbreaks to a minimum and try not to infect more cities than you need to. Actually, it's not cities. Pandemic, the original game, is cities. In The Cure, there are simply 6 global regions, which correspond
basically
to
Africa, South America, North America, Europe, Asia. So it's basically the continents. So there's 6 of them. Are there
essentially
6 continents?
Now we're getting into geography. But it essentially corresponds to the 6 sides of a normal 6-sided dice. So yes, travel around, collect samples, cure the diseases, and if you have all 4 cured before your infection track reaches the, well, let's just grab it here. Before things get to the red skull and bones, either your outbreaks or your infection rate.
Or if you run out of dice in the bag, which can happen as the dice populate the various regions on the board.
And you lose, but if not, you win. So
it's very, just like the original Pandemic game and most co-op games, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to lose this game, but it's always fun, which is true of the original Pandemic. I mean, I think sometimes I found that in original Pandemic game, you would lose because you ran out of cards in the deck, which is legitimate. I don't see how it makes thematic sense. I'm trying to make that connection. Maybe somebody can correct me, but I always had trouble with that.
Well, I think, not so much to correct you, but I think that is really the only way that you know that you have limited time.
That's true.
Because when you run out of cards, you run out of time. And you only have a limited amount of time in which to cure all the diseases.
Yeah, I suppose it's a time factor. It just, to me, didn't make a lot of sense. From running out of time, sure, but maybe that could have been handled a little more elegantly. I don't know. It's a minor nitpick. I love Pandemic.
We both do.
I always got frustrated by losing that way. In this case, running out of dice is similar, for sure, and it even maybe thematically is the same. But
however, though, you do have the option of putting dice back into the bag.
It's true. It's much. So it's not like you couldn't reshuffle the deck before.
Mm-hmm.
This way, you can sort of say, well, we are running out of dice. Let's try to get some of these dice back in the bag, and I like that. That satisfies well, we're not really losing on the other aspects of the game, but we're losing on this sort of gotcha sort of moment that you got with the original Pandemic, whereas it saves it in this case. So overall, it's a fun co-op game, very much like the original. I say more accessible,
yes.
Faster. It boils down all the core elements of the original Pandemic game into something that feels tighter at the same time. Just having, I find dice rolling fun. Not everyone does. Not everyone likes the randomness. I mean, the randomness is mitigated by the fact that you can re-roll your results.
Until you get a biohazard.
Until you get a biohazard, in which case it moves the infection rate track forward, which can happen frequently on a single turn, which is kind of fun and adds a little bit of tension to the game, which of course Pandemic always has in spades. But it's just another sort of analog to the mechanics in the original game. And I find it's fun, it's fast, it's good as a two-player game, which we've played, and we've both won and lost. We did a gameplay video earlier where we lost quite
Handily.
horribly.
Yes.
But it was, it's still fun, and I think that's the hallmark of a great game, is one that is great mechanics, looks good, is fun to play for everyone. I can't imagine a single player in this game having less fun than everyone else. Like, the rolls are important, yes, but your fun doesn't hinge on whether you have a good roll or a bad roll. And I think that can be a problem sometimes in the original Pandemic game. There are some rolls that are less fun than others. And yeah, I really like this game. I would buy this game for other people.
Agreed. And I think that adding a little bit to what Ryan said, but mostly capturing what he's already mentioned, is that it's almost a condensed version of the original Pandemic game. It keeps the urgency and the time constraints and the tension while boiling it down into a really short yet fun and never the same way twice game. And I mean, we played at a restaurant a few days ago between when we ordered our food and when we got it. So I mean, we set it up, played it, and had it away within 20 minutes.
Yep. It was it's a fun game that you can bring, and it doesn't take up a lot of room on the table.
Has great components.
Fantastic components. I mean, look at this. It's like 5mm thick plastic, and it's not going anywhere. And the dice are all colorful and fantastic and have nice design, and the box is great. And
Ryan has been raving about the box since he unwrapped it.
I am a component nerd, and yeah, this box is like solid. It's empty, and it sounds like a brick something. I really like this game. I put in context, I like lots of different styles of game. I like cooperative, I like head-to-head games. This is a game that I would really bring out to just about any group, unless somebody really just doesn't like dice. I like dice. I like this game, and I would definitely recommend it to people who like a fun, quick, light, but somewhat, it still gives you a sense of being there, right? And I think that's one thing that was great about the original Pandemic game, is that it brings you into the game, into the world. It's thematic. And I mean, look at these roll badges. They even have little punch holes for a lanyard,
yeah.
like it's your badge in a hospital. And it's just another very small touch, but it just adds another level of awesome to this game. And I think they really got it right. I mean, it's not expensive relative to some other games out there, and I think anybody can play it and enjoy it. I have kids. I haven't yet played with them, but I even think that my 6-year-old could probably play this game. I know that my 11-year-old definitely could, and will play it. And I look forward to many happy versions of this playthroughs of this game. Go buy it.